Coming off the back of the most dominant season in F1 history, everyone was expecting smooth sailing and an upbeat start to the season for the Red Bull Racing team. On track, things have looked great with the team innovating on what was already an incredible car and establishing themselves as favourites for the 2024 season. However, off the track, the investigation into Christian Horner's inappropriate behaviour has been hanging like a storm cloud just waiting to explode. There has been a huge development in the investigation as the secrets behind the inner workings of the Red Bull organisation have been uncovered. Today, I'll cover Christian Horner's surprising defenders as Red Bull rush to close the investigation before the season begins. Let's check it out. At preseason testing in Bahrain, the Red Bull team looked seriously impressive. Their machine-like consistency over the 3 days set an ominous omen for what might be coming for the rest of the season. Verstappen and his spectacular new RB20 car looked every bit as imperious as the Dutchman did in his record-breaking predecessor last year. Of course, it is, as the old F1 adage goes, only testing. The times don't mean anything because it's too difficult to make judgments as a result of the number of variables involved. I'm talking about fuel loads, track conditions, tyres, the weather, what the drivers had for breakfast, who had a fight with their girlfriend the night before, and so on. While that statement has become a cliche, it is true up to a point. As ever, the headline lists of lap times threw up some obvious inconsistencies and impossibilities. Zhou Guanyu's Sauber, for example, ended the final day of the test with the third fastest time. If the Chinese driver qualifies there in Bahrain next Friday for Saturday's season opening race, he would be as surprised as anyone else. But just as this time last year, there was little doubt about the superiority of Verstappen and Red Bull. Even the list of times on the final day more or less gave that away if you looked just below the surface. Charles Leclerc was fastest in his Ferrari, closely followed by George Russell's Mercedes, with Verstappen fourth. But Leclerc, Russell and Zhou all used the softer C4 tyres to beat Verstappen's time, while he was on the slower, harder C3s. Not only that, but none of Verstappen's rivals were bothering to engage in the usual testing cliches about how it's impossible to judge where everyone is. Leclerc said, "Red Bull remain in front. They have a very, very good car again this year. How far in front they are remains to be confirmed, but they seem to be in front for now, yeah." Russell's Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton said, "The car felt much more enjoyable to drive than last year. We still have time to find. Red Bull clearly are out in the distance, but it's a good platform to work from this year." Verstappen himself wasn't hiding anything either, sounding as positive as any F1 driver ever has after testing. "Overall, it was a very good first day," he said on Friday. "I couldn't really wish for more. I was actually wishing for less laps. But I did a lot of laps, everything went well. The balance was very nice, we tried quite a few things on the car. Also for me to understand moving forward. We completed the whole program without any problems, so for me that was a really good day." It's fair to say that over the 3 days, Red Bull had the perfect start to the season. But despite the incredible form showed on track, there was no escaping the investigation into Christian Horner. While the face the team has been putting forward has had a huge smile, behind the mask of media interviews there has been an internal conflict going on. Reports from various outlets have pitched the big personalities of the Red Bull team against each other. One day it was Horner versus Helmut and Jos Verstappen. The next it was Max Verstappen, Horner and Helmut against the tie owners. Then it was Horner versus Helmut and the Austrian shareholders. Then Toto Wolff waged in, demanding a quick resolution to it all, just to add another knife to his old rival's back. Despite all of this, no one outside of the Red Bull organisation has seen any kind of proof or even know the exact details of the allegations against the team principal. With the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix weekend starting on Thursday this week, people across the sport have been calling for an end to the investigation before the cars hit the track. The Red Bull organisation, that are the owners of the Red Bull Racing Formula 1 team, are coming under increasing pressure to resolve their investigation, with Ford criticising their future engine partner over a lack of transparency. Ford Motor Co., who will partner with Red Bull in 2026 to form Red Bull Ford Powertrains, are unhappy with the nature of the investigation, as well as Red Bull's lack of response to a request for further information on the 14th of February. In a letter seen by AP News, Ford CEO Jim Farley says the American automotive giant is increasingly frustrated by the lack of resolution or clear indication from you about when you anticipate a fair and just resolution of this matter. He adds, "As we have indicated previously, without satisfactory response, Ford's values are non-negotiable. It is imperative that our racing partners share and demonstrate a genuine commitment to those same values. My team and I are available at any time to discuss this matter. We remain insistent on and hopeful for a resolution we can all stand behind. We're likewise frustrated by the lack of transparency surrounding this matter with us, your corporate partners, and look forward to receiving a complete account of all findings." Farley finishes the letter by calling for Red Bull to show prompt and serious attention to the investigation. Part of the issue that Farley is facing is that the investigation is not being run by the racing team that he has an impending partnership with, rather its parent company. The good news for him is that an announcement on the outcome of the investigation is imminent. A report has been compiled by the independent investigator that Red Bull hired for this investigation, and it's being discussed by the Red Bull leadership at its headquarters in Austria today. That's Tuesday the 27th of February. A decision will then be made, and once any internal discussions that need to be had are had, the result will be made public. At this point, it is guaranteed that we'll know if Christian Horner will remain as the Red Bull boss for the first race of the season or not before the race weekend begins. At the moment, the odds are that he will remain in place for the 2024 season. While there have been a number of reports of tension within the team between its biggest personalities, the likes of Jos Verstappen and Helmut Marko have absolutely no say on whether or not Horner keeps his job. The only people who get to make that decision are the actual owners of the Red Bull brand. This is the pivotal part for the outcome of the investigation. The only people who get to make that decision on Horner's future are the actual owners of the Red Bull brand. The company is currently split two ways, with 51% owned by the Thai founders and the other 49% being owned by Mark Mateschitz, who inherited his part of the company from his father, group founder Dietrich Mateschitz. Mark Mateschitz, along with the management structure at Red Bull's headquarters in Austria, and that includes Red Bull CEO Oliver Mintzlaff, are apparently ready to dispose of Horner right now and replace him with someone who will fall in line with their corporate wishes. Since the restructure of Red Bull following Dietrich's death, the company has been trying to gain far more control over the running of its biggest assets, and that includes Red Bull Racing. Horner was given a huge amount of freedom while Dietrich was running the company though, and found great success managing the team in his way. The problem for Mark Mateschitz and Oliver Mintzlaff, whom Helmut Marko is close to, is that they are not the majority owners of the company. The Thai billionaire Chalerm Uvidya is. Worth more than $30 billion, the 73-year-old had a management contract with Dietrich, which gave the Austrian a free hand in making any management decisions for the company. While Mark may have inherited his father's share of the company, that management contract did not carry over, which means that at the end of the day, if Chalerm wants something to happen within Red Bull, it will. And unfortunately for Mark and Oliver, Chalerm Uvidya has taken a fancy to Horner. Ralf Schumacher, who is extremely well connected at Red Bull, summed up the current situation for F1 Insider. For Chalerm, Horner is a kind of foster son. He stands by him unconditionally, and whether we like it or not, unfortunately, the reality is that our Western values of equality have not yet arrived in Thailand. The role of a woman is still seen differently there. While Horner's future is publicly still in the balance, there is a strong belief that if he has done anything wrong, that he will be protected by the Thai owners anyway. We'll have to wait for an official confirmation from Red Bull to know for sure, but that will come before the first race of the season, and at the moment, it appears to be not guilty. Do you think Horner will be let off? Or will the Austrian management at Red Bull get their way and remove the title-winning team principal? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.